Hi, good morning, everybody. First of all, I have my voice a little bit taking, and that's definitive proof that the community stays young, and I'm old. So old. So my name's Nick. I'm founder of this company called Improntus. We're an agency. We've been with Magento since 1.3, maybe. So it's been a ride. But I met Chris, what was it, 2 years ago? A year and a half ago?
At least 2.
Yeah. So we were working on an integration with Uber, and one day I was like, hey, Chris, do you want to see this stuff that we're working on internally in our company in Improntus, and see if it matches anything that you're interested in? And he was like, yeah, sure. And somehow I'm here, and the only thing that I'm doing day to day is working with Chris. But Chris, if you can you talk a little bit about Wave, what you guys do, and what you bring to the table, and why I am useful in any way?
Absolutely. So as Nika said, I'm Chris Collier, Director of Digital Operations at Wave Electronics. We're a distribution company, so we're working exclusively in B2B. And what Wave is our business is set up so if you are, let's say, a contractor, or let's say that you're opening a new restaurant or something of that nature, a commercial business where you're needing audio or video, you're not going to go to Best Buy or Amazon to buy all those products. You're actually going to engage with a contractor, and the contractor is going to buy it from a wholesaler. That's who we are. So we work exclusively B2B, and we've been on Adobe Commerce for the last 3-4 years, and we've enjoyed it very much. But as Nika said, we have been sort of looking outside the box at a lot of opportunities that are not just Magento focused and not just Adobe Commerce focused. And that's where we've kind of crossed paths with Nika on some fresh opportunities with Improntus.
Awesome. So that's the AI stewardship. That's all on you.
Thank you. So I wanted to kind of address this because I think that AI as a hot topic is very sexy, and it's the thing that everybody's talking about. But what people aren't talking about is the stewardship of AI, and how are we going to implement it in a way that's successful, and how are we going to do it with people? And the reality is the people part is what will drive the success of the projects, because the technology, nothing against Nika, but the technology is the easy part. The cultural adoption is always the hard part of every project. So this is very important. And the reason why we have chosen Improntus as our partner in this is because our value is aligned. We knew that we wanted to really focus on the people in our business. We wanted to make sure we're still giving the best experience to our customers and employees. And we didn't want to just throw AI at the wall and see what fit. That was not the goal for us. There's a lot of really big, sexy things you can solve with AI. That was not our goal coming into it. We wanted to start at a layer that made sense to see if we could build trust within the business, to build trust in the technology, to then move forward to more challenging tasks.
And even though we started with let's say smaller things or easier things, we had like some backslash from people in the organization. So this is one of the projects that we're working with. What we're actually doing is we're taking resale certificates that people upload to the Magento store, and this should go to Avalara. Now the thing is, it's funny. I was going down the elevator here, and I saw in the elevator there's like this sign, and I'm like, I recognize this sign, and it's because some people uploaded this elevator, airworthiness elevator certificate into our platform. Actually, from Magento, it went to our platform, and it says like, hey, dude, this is an elevator certificate. You're not gonna die in this elevator. But I think you can explain the situation better. But I'm more of the technical guy.
Sure. And it's funny, but it is very interesting. As we started looking at case studies and areas of opportunity where we could leverage AI, one of the areas that we found is that our team on the accounts side, the back-end team, was really dealing with a lot of these situations like this, where it's simply a certificate that expires in some states every year. Sometimes it's just an annual renewal, and some states don't expire at all. And so it actually took a human to be able to look at each one of these certificates on a day-to-day basis, month to month, and then it started all over January 31st because the great state of Florida expires December 31st, everybody across the board. And so it presents a number of challenges for us. And so what we ended up doing is we started talking to Nika about this, knowing that we were coming up to the January 1st timeline. And we started figuring out that there's a lot of synergies around these documents. And the number one reason why we're going back and asking customers to give us more information is because they were actually giving us the wrong document from the beginning. And that for us was a huge piece. The other thing that we found out is they weren't filling it out completely. And so that would cause a lot of back and forth with our team and the customer to just say, hey, you forgot to check this one box, or hey, you forgot to sign it, or hey, you wrote 2025 on it and now it's January 26. Those little small things actually caused a great deal of problems when you're talking about 25, 30,000 customers, and then entire states go ahead and expire at the same time. Presents a lot of challenges. So that's where we came to Nika and said, look, we use Avalara today. Avalara is obviously very standard in the e-commerce world. It makes a lot of sense for Adobe Commerce and Magento. But the reality is, I got to say this nicely, Avalara's business model changed, and they've restructured. They no longer offer a lot of comprehensive services that they used to. So what that means is they will actually do a lot of tax research and a lot of things that is helpful. We still have an active relationship with them. However, they do not vet the documents upstream. So what we are doing is we are doing that vetting through Improntus, and then we're giving that feedback to the customer in real time. So in this example, this document specifically, I think is a valid document.
No, it's actually failed.
What?
It's failed. It requires something.
I can't read it, it's too small. But what it says...
It's my signature there. It's a beautiful signature.
So what it says is it's missing something. What this is doing is...
Oh, those fields, the E field. The E field is the
I still can't see it, I'm old. So what it's saying is it doesn't have all the fields that it expected to see. So this is actually in the My Account section that the customer sees in their sort of dashboard on our Adobe Commerce site. So if you're an executive or you are in the accounting department, we obviously have it driven by roles, you can upload this document and it's actually going to give you real-time feedback. So Nika's application here is going to go through all the checks and it's going to say this is valid for all of these reasons, and it's going to respond back to the customer, thank you, have a great day. And then it's automatically going to upload to Avalara, or it's going to respond back and say, sorry, this is not the document we were looking for. The document we really need from you is actually this document, and it points them to that document for their state based on a repository that we have. So that's been very exciting because it's not just a hard no for customers. We're actually explaining here's why, and here's where you need to go, here's the right one you need to fill out. So that's actually been huge for us. We have no issues on the customer side and drastically improved the overall user experience from that.
And you told me that today there was one that uploaded a document without the signature or something, and then the guy re-uploaded the document correctly, and I was so happy about that. It's like, oh, okay, I'm doing something right.
That's exactly right, and that was a real-world scenario, is that someone uploaded the document last night, and he forgot to sign it. And then it gave him real-time response and said, sorry, this isn't correct, it's missing a signature. He signed it and re-uploaded it right then. So that's a massive improvement for us. And again, I want to express the complexity that every state is absolutely different. In Florida, for example, does not require a signature, whereas other states do. So the system has to go through and validate all this information state by state. And some states change their documents and forms. So it's a fun challenge.
Yeah, well, it's funny, as we went through this process, we were like, well, okay, we need to train the agent to, respond in this way, in this scenario. And sometimes we were like, is it really, does it really have to respond like this? So we really needed to review the process several times with the accounting team to really understand how the agent should really respond. And we've actually changed the code several times to make the agent respond one way or another. And this is actually a graph that we did a manual calculation of how accurate the agent right now is with this specific problem. Now, the interesting part is you see a 94.29% accuracy there, but that's actually not, that doesn't mean that the agent is 94% accurate. It's actually more accurate because there are cases where the agent would go and say, okay, so this document is invalid for whatever reason, and then when you go and see the document, the agent actually did what it had to do. It's just that we needed to refine the rules and say, hey, no, this is a specific case for this specific state, and we need to change the rule. So it's 96% actually accurate, but then there are edge cases where we need to actually go and review our process. And so that's a long way to say what we're actually doing is we're making digital processes, so we're transforming business logic into something that this agent can understand, then communicate with several other programs, and then get us feedback or something useful in return. Here's another example of something that we're doing, and I really like this this thing. We have actually automated sort of like a headless Chrome system where I can just go ahead and type into that thing and say, hey, I need you to check the behavior of the site in this particular way. So that's actually the headless Chrome system working, and it's adding a product to the checking cart. It doesn't seem like it, but it's adding a product to the checking cart. And I told it in the prompt, hey, I need you to go ahead and add this product to the checking cart, or add some product to the checking cart, and it's doing it in real time and giving me real-time feedback about what's going on. So if when it adds the product to the checking cart, we get a 500 error or whatever, it goes automatically to another system and calls one of my engineers and says, hey, you guys really need to look at this. So the reason why we did this is because we had automated systems with performance monitors with New Relic that were giving us what's called fatigue alert, where you would get many alerts that you really need to check. Let's say that your invoicing is going down. There might be reasonable reasons why your invoicing is going down, but there could be also a problem. Well, now this thing is automatically checking if there's a problem or there's not a problem. And this is the same system, but I had to actually do the work of spanning up the visual user interface. I made the mistake of showing this to one of my engineers. His name is Federico. He told me to name him this time. I showed him, and I was like, look at this. This is awesome. This is awesome technology. And the guy went like, wow, Nick, this is amazing. After 10 years of working with Magento, you handled to make a promotion, like a 2-for-1 in the administrator panel. And I was like, yeah, that's on me. I shouldn't have said anything, but this is actually doing it all by itself. It's an automated Chrome that's running headless on the back, and now it's creating a promotion, but I could have told it to create anything. So this creates a whole world of possibilities to us to get automated systems and tell, hey, I need you to turn on this payment method, turn off this payment method. If there's this specific problem, I need you to turn off this module or that module. And this is specific for Magento, but we could do it in other in other areas. This is actually what I was talking about. We have some performance monitors that connect to the MCPs that are working with the automated Chrome tabs. This actually has allowed me, and I was really surprised because I thought nobody in the company was using it, and right before I came here, they told me, no, yeah, we are using it, and it's really useful. What this is allowing me is not only to scale in bulk, like all of our customers, I can get an idea of what's going on, but it's giving my non-engineering team an idea of what's happening, because they can go and speak to the engineer, and there's the consequences of going and speaking to the engineer. Any engineers in the room? Okay, so now it's like I gave them a tool to go and speak with the engineers, because the program goes and says, hey, this client is having this specific problem, and then the engineer is in trouble because like it can't contradict this thing. And actually, it's creating reports that the guys are reading and going into the engineering team and saying, hey, what's going on with this client? Why do we have this conclusion right there? And either the engineers have like a really good way of like making stuff up, or they don't. So how we're doing this, it's like 10 million things that I don't really have time to talk about, but I will try to speed over it. We're working with agents, knowledge bases, and last but not least, and private and public models. The agent, I'm sure everybody here knows what an agent is, but in case you don't, it's an LLM that can react to the input, take decision, not just give you the answer. So to give you an example, we go to a site, check that it's not adding a product into the shopping cart. So then we go back, create a Jira ticket with the specifications of the problem. That's what an agent is. This is what it's actually doing. This is the same system, only working in a different way. I put this example because for once, the system that we built together is not just specific for Magento, but it connects with MCPs, which are like APIs, but fancier. It connects to a bunch of different systems. And in this case, I'm prompting my HR software and asking, hey, what are the employees in my company that are on PTO? And then you get the employee absences, and then there's a communication channel. So there's another MCP that communicates via Slack to a specific Slack channel and tells me, hey, these are the employees that are on PTO right now. And so for once, it's I can connect to Magento as another MCP, so I could be saying, okay, in this case, if this employee is not available, go to Magento and do that task. But I brought this example specifically because it's not Magento related, but this is how I found out that my other two business partners, one was in Japan and the other one was scaling a mountain. So I was like, okay, so I'm the only managing partner actually working. That's so awesome, perfect. So. Yeah, and we're working with knowledge bases also, which is how we are actually training the agent to understand. Like there are 10 million rules for each state in the tax system that I had to actually learn about, and so we are making it understand. Every day it understands a little bit better. And actually, when we started with this project, it had like a much lower accuracy level than it does today, and that's because we are filling up this knowledge bases, and when the agent is responding, it's not actually responding with the knowledge that the LLM has, but it also gets the RAG augmentation from the knowledge base. So this is just to say, somebody in the organization told me, hey, you're not gonna go and talk about you have a GPT wrapper, right? And I'm like, no, it's not a GPT wrapper at all. Actually, it's funny because everybody says like GPT wrapper, and one of the things we've found out is you need consistency across a long time, and you need consistency in the responses. So if you have two different models, or if you're changing models, models, or if Google is changing models, or OpenAI is changing models, the signal that you're getting back from the agent is not going to be the same if you change models, because even though the wording is similar, every LLM wants its specific. Yeah, I know you're saying it's right, because it is. Every agent wants its specific language to understand. It's like programming, but in a natural language, and it's not the same programming from one model to the other. So one of the things we're working with the guys at JetRails here, it's private servers. So basically, surprising to me, but not many people know that it's not just OpenAI, Gemini, and those guys, but we are actually hosting stuff in. You can get out there and see their server. It's like on their table. So they are hosting their servers right here at Magento, and you can just write to the thing offline. And that guarantees two things for us. One is that there's going to be consistency, so we're going to be able to manage the model. So if we don't want to update the model or upgrade the model or put more parameters into the model, we are not going to do it. If it works, and it just stays there. And we have like a controlled environment. So I think that's really interesting, and you should really check out their booth and see the thing reading documents. Okay, so am I improving your day-to-day or not? I feel like I am.
Absolutely. And, this is an interesting topic all in itself, but I think, as I said, there's a certain part of this where you've got to get the adoption of the team and the employees. And the team specifically in this use case, they have been employed with us for over 15 years. They know the ins and outs. They know what state by state has for all of these different things. They know all the gotchas. It's hard to let the system understand all those gotchas, but it's also hard to convey to the person that's done it for 15 years that the system does understand it. And I think that it's a learning process, for sure, as Nika said. Some states we do a lot of business in, and let's say like Florida, it's going to get a lot more records coming from Florida because we have that many more customers, so it gets smarter faster, just based on volume, whereas we don't have a lot in Idaho or Ohio, and so it's going to actually see fewer documents. So again, working with the team and them really understanding the tool and what it's doing allows them to really focus on the edge cases that the system doesn't need to be worried about. And it's going back and doing tax audits and things like that, and that's what the humans are doing. So this has absolutely helped them drastically in their day-to-day because they're not manually touching any of these documents as they come in. This was a game changer for us, and this is one of many use cases for this tool. It just kind of made sense for us to try this first. And I think that, well, this kind of gets into the next one. I think one of the biggest things that I get asked the most, I'm on a number of committees, none of them are public, but I'm in a number of committees and we're talking about what are the challenges of AI? What do we do? And the number one question that I have from CEOs is, where do we start? And that is the number one question across the board. And I think that the reality of it is you really want to go into it and see what are the things that I can do to build the trust that isn't the most sexiest thing. And I think that that's where we're seeing companies go wrong, if I'm being honest. I think we've seen eBay make some poor choices recently. There's a number of them out there that have been publicized. And I think that they're trying to do too much too fast. And I think that ultimately it's impacting their user experience. And so that, for us, is very important to say, look, let's actually be methodical. Let's figure out how do we put this in play in a way where it's not pushing away or disrupting our employees, because that's the number one thing that is happening. So we were communicating upfront with all of our employees saying, here's the plan. We're just exploring these options. It is literally about how do we make some of this better and improve your efficiency, and not replacing anyone. That is not the goal. That is not what we are after. We're just trying to take away some of the mundane copy and paste stuff that you're experiencing. And that's where we started. And it made all the difference in the world. And like I said, it built a lot of confidence and trust in the overall technology to where we're going to now implement more and more complex challenges or solve more complex challenges because the teams believe that the tool is actually helping them because it was designed that way.
Well, you told me something yesterday, and I was like greatly surprised and happy that there was I felt like when we started this, I felt like I was the guy that everybody was going to hate because I was the guy that was going to take jobs away. And you told me yesterday that there are actually people using this software that we built that now are happy.
Yeah, it's funny, and I think that we've probably all experienced in some capacity. I mean, I've been doing automation for 20 years, and people think of me as the Grim Reaper, but that's really not what it is. And this is something where we've been able to address it and make people feel comfortable that we were kind of surprised that aren't necessarily the most technical of staff that are saying, this makes sense to me because this is my job, this is what I've been doing, and I feel like it understands it well enough to now I can focus on what I really should be doing. So it was huge.
Yeah. So I think we went a little bit out of our time. So any final thoughts?
No, not for me.
Great. Let's go to Q&A.
Any questions? Anyone?
Ask, how many jobs have been lost? How many jobs have been lost due to AI adoption in your organization?
0.
Very surprising.
You've shown false negatives, right? And have you checked false positives when the system accepts something like it shouldn't?
Yes. Yeah. It happens both ways, and there's like a percentage of false positives that are false positives because, well, basically our fault, and there are like a percentage of false positives that are hallucinations, and that's the bit that we need to continue improving. But I can tell you that the amount of false positives and false negatives has dropped significantly, and there's another thing that I haven't told, but it's not like the person that's manually doing the job. It's fail-proof, right? Because we've actually when we began doing this, I was like looking at documents and like manually comparing one to another, and like it was failing the manual comparison test, and I was like, oh. We're going to get fired, all right. And now it turned out that in many cases, the manual comparison was failing, and the agent was actually doing what it had to do. So there's that piece that we need to refine on the false negatives. Now, again, you need to go and see the process and see if what the agent is doing is what it's told to do, and then iterate. That's why it's working really well in Florida.
Any more questions?
My question is related with the model that you are using. If we can know something more, or how it's hosted on the chat rails, or how, I don't know. Do you try different models? Do you try ChatGPT wrapper, or do you go directly with one and stay with the same model always? Please, if you can explain more.
Yes, my day-to-day nowadays, it's like calling Arthur and saying, Arthur, please make it work. Please make it work. That's basically what I do all day. And no, they host several different models. And what's interesting, and we've been experiencing this both with the public models and with the private models, is that let's say for interpreting the documentation. For instance, we initially started doing Gemini 2.0, which now it's been deprecated, but we use not exactly Gemini 2.0, but something optic vision something API. So the problem is that if you take the same model that you're using for document recognition or image recognition and you use it to compare, let's say, dates, then you're going to be having a problem, or it's going to hallucinate a lot. So what we're doing is we're combining multiple models. There are models that are really good for making rational interpretations, and then there are models that are good for interpreting visual stuff. So it's really a question of like trial and error, if you will, and trying to see what models work best for you. I'll tell you, and up until now, the Flash models from Gemini and the optic models from Gemini were working great. And on the private models, I'm not going to tell you because I want to encourage you to go and try the private servers from these guys.
Thank you.
Yep. We are at time, so.
By the way, it was a joke. It works.
Yep, so we are at time. Thank you so much, Nick, Chris. Give a round of applause, please.
Thank you.